So today's project, we were losing some oil out of the transmission, and there is a little oil slick in the exhaust. So we're leaning towards the idea that we better check the transmission cooler, which is right there behind the after cooler. These hose clamps, I'm going to take this air filter off, get it out of the way. This is the cool Klein tools that fits over the long stud. So that's 7/16. Alright, so I got the filter out of the way. Now you can really see the cooler. These are the transmission oil lines that go up to the cooler. So I got two bolts down in there that hold a strap down, that curved strap. There's two straps and two bolts. But I think I'll get the hoses out of the way next. So. Alright, so the little strap that holds the cooler down, 10mm bolt. I used a swivel on it, a couple extensions, and I had to use a persuader on the end of that handle. I may get my impact gun for the one in the back, we'll see. Alright, so I got the two 10mm out. Just a matter of reaching in here. I don't know if that'll focus on it. That's for the strap. Not a big deal. It was a little bit tight, but with a little persuasion I got the... Alright, so there's the two bolts that hold the straps down. I still have to disconnect the saltwater hoses here. Alright, so that's constant tension clamp. I think 8mm fits on it too, but I have a 5/16 on there, so I'm going to take that end off. I already have this one loose here. I just have to get the hoses off, and I think the whole thing will come out. I'd like to say it was a piece of cake getting this out, but the hard part was there's a little nibby on the end of the pipe that I had to work out of this hose. I suppose if you got new hoses and just cut them off, it would be easier. The other one, at the other end, I just turned this whole cooler after I loosened that clamp, and it just worked its way right out of it. So that end was easy. This end was a pain. Maybe I should have taken this end off, but anyway, I ended up doing that end. Alright, so now we're going to have it pressure tested to see if it's okay. Piece of a zinc. Well, it won't matter if we get a new one, but that's a chunk of a zinc, but it's not from here. The zinc is just shoved in there. Wow. I would say this needed to be flushed. So when we took the transmission oil cooler out, we found a very large piece of zinc, pencil zinc, in it. And it must have come from up here, on top of the after cooler. It must have gone through here and down the hose and gone into the end of the transmission cooler. So that zinc came from up here. Interesting. We have 150 psi going in. More bubbles coming up. And some of them could be residual bubbles, but that wouldn't explain why little spots of oil came up. But there should be no oil in the saltwater side. So, yeah, this is a 1/2 inch MPT going into here. So, we just hooked that up to it. This is not the proper cap on here, but we put a lot of Teflon tape on it and sealed it up. So, So we're pressurizing the oil side, just like the transmission would do. And we don't really have a good way of checking if the pressure drop, but 150 psi. We have gotten a few bubbles, and certainly some drops of oil have come up. Like that one right there just came up.
And we did not get copious amounts of oil coming out that exhaust. We just got droplets.
Right. Bubbles that are coming up, there's little, you can see it, there's a little thing of oil floating on it. So there's probably still some oil in there that's being pushed out. So now we're leaning more towards this being the culprit.
Yeah.
98%?
I'm going to say that's going to be it.
All right, so next step is we're draining out all the old oil. I'm going down through the dipstick hole. I believe this is the fill plug here. But I just loosened up the drain plug underneath. So we're going to drain all the oil out. It's a 22 millimeter bolt there. And then this is a 36 millimeter one. This is where the filter screen is. So let's see if I pull that plug out, how much oil will come out. Alright, so I took the fill plug out, which is right there. I used a 3/4 socket, but I think that's also a 19 millimeter. So this is the fill plug. It does have a copper washer on it, just like all the other plugs. That's the drain plug. That's the filter screen plug. So the next step is we're waiting for the new cooler to come to reinstall. And also we'll have the new crush washer for the filter screen. We can reinstall all that, put the oil back in. Alright, so here's the filter plug, 36 millimeter bolt, and there's a magnet, and there's a little bit of stuff on there, but I don't know, for 20 years old, not that bad. This is the drain plug. It does have a copper washer on it. This one had a copper washer, and this is the filter, which is pretty darn clean. That's good news. Alright, reassembling things today. Put the pipe fittings in. Hopefully we got the right angles on them. There's a little rubber block that this cooler fits on. So I'm ready to push it back in to the hose on the back side. That's the one that goes up to the top of the after cooler. And then I'll have to get this hose in. Alright, so this is a Seaboard Marine transmission cooler. And I'm just wondering if it's slightly different than the original one, but I had a heck of a time getting the bolts started for the straps. The one back there, I actually took the rubber block out, that big rubber block there, and that's the only way I could start that one. Then I jammed the block back in. And then the front one, I don't know if you can see it here, I put vice grips on it, and I was able to clamp it together with the vice grips enough to start the bolt. It was the only way it was going to work. Alright, so I just put this clamp back in. I used a 13 millimeter bolt there. And the next step is get the new crush washer on this is the drain plug, and this is the filter, which was amazingly clean when we took it out. So this goes up inside there like that, and then this goes in here. And this is that 36 millimeter one. Click. That's torqued in. So now I'm going to do the drain plug. And then on the top we have the fill plug and the dipstick. Alright, in summary, filter is 36 millimeter, drain is 22, and the fill plug is 3/4 inch, and we're ready to start it up and see what happens.